Alright. Should be recording. I mean, I see the file, but it's weird how the audio doesn't always seem to start right at the beginning. Anyway, still in Serious Sam 4, and the key was provided by Tinsley PR for Devolver Digital. And this is actually my second time doing the graphics quality analysis, because of some stuff that I learned during that and then after. And it's like, you know what, it's gonna be worth just doing it over. Excuse me. So this is how I had it set up while doing the playthrough. So, and I think I know what this is talking about. So this is, I think, like a resolution scaling thing, and 3 is empty there because of my monitor's weird 2048 by 1152 resolution. So I'm guessing that's what it is. So I can go down to 1080. That's being rendered internally, 900p, 720p. And going up, I don't know if it actually does anything, because it says max 3D rendering, and when I tried like going to 1440p, it didn't seem to do anything to performance. But basically, this is the high preset, except for the stuff that I turned off. And if you watch the playthrough, you'll see that the performance was not always great. Let me take care of this stuff. There, I do have infinite ammo turned on for this, so I can have some fun. There's no real point going up to the heavy because there's nothing that I will get from doing that. We'll take that though.
Quinn? Carter? Kenny?
So yeah, the game doesn't look too bad, but performance right now is
going
not too high, and even it's like, yay, it finally managed to cross 70.
Long way to that town. I'm gonna need a ride.
So this is what I was playing at, and it played fine, but it's like, right now it's in the 30s. This isn't that great. So I started messing around and figured out basically 2 things are going on that are hurting visuals and performance most, at least for my experience. But I need to take care of these guys, which is actually going to help if I do this.
Here's my ride.
I can just run up here, grab the assault rifle.
Probably won't mind if I take.
And, get to just killing everything. Okay, I think that's everything right here. Yep, alright. So, if we look over here, you see how that doesn't look so good? I mean, when I get this close, it's better, but that is soft, that is blurry. And as I was mentioning, the performance isn't that great. And it's like, oh man, what can I do to make this better? What can I do to make this better? Well, let me show you a few things. Going in here, and you can also just hit there and straight to here. So some of it, one thing, is turning off the FXAA, because that does just, part of it is literally just softening the image. So turning that off, yeah, that's one thing you can do that will help. Technically, you can also turn this on. I've not really experimented with that much in this situation of native resolution or higher. But the biggest thing I would say to help with visuals, because like stuff like that, options, performance, GPU memory, setting that to ultra. So that's that to ultra, that to high, that to ultra, or just putting ultra there. It's the same thing. Doing that, and now that texture will be perfectly sharp. It takes a little bit. Some changes, the game engine needs to restart or something. It might hang a little here. It's perfectly fine though, and I'm fairly confident that this kind of thing will be addressed in patches. Just as far as I do believe that it's something that a patch can address. But look at that. From here, from me, there's much more detail in this. It's much sharper. Coming closer, it clearly is better. Maybe not so much right there, but around here, excuse me, definitely is better. And I'm sure, if I just, turn on... Here it is. Turn that on. Oh yeah, that is fantastically sharper. Just by doing that. This is I have an RX 580 in here, which, yeah, it's not the most powerful card, which I'll get to the performance stuff soon, but it has 8 gig of RAM. I have no idea why, if I were to do the auto detect, it would actually say low. I have no idea why. I mean, high is already maybe it'll run into issues if they're like really overboard with certain assets. No, ultra is fine. And I mean, here, let me quickly check something. I did this in the previous analysis that I did. Okay, so it's saying 97% of the VRAM being used right now. That is wrong. That is wrong, and I know it's wrong because when I looked at the VRAM utilization, this was under DirectX 11, though I will admit, not Vulkan. It actually was showing like 67%. So a little bit more than 4 gig, like probably around 5. I think part of it is that I have OBS running, and it does engage some of the GPU VRAM. So yeah, that's very possible that is part of it. But I mean, definitely turning on the cast sharpening, which is redundant, I know, but it makes quite a difference to the sharpness. That's something though I'm not, like, if you already had native resolution, I see it as being, it's up to you. But here's, you want to help performance? And to give you an idea, this is how much it helps performance. I'm going to go to Ultra. Customize. Well, here, actually, yes, apply the settings. Let's first see it. And I will turn off the stuff like the blur, just because I don't like it. I generally just do not want blurring in the games I play. There. That won't really influence performance, at least it shouldn't. But I come here, and we're talking like 10-15 FPS at the moment. Oh, actually no, it's a lot better. At one point it was... Oh wait, no, that might have been when I turned up the specific stuff. So, in the 40s right now, which isn't bad, but it's... Like, if I get on that bike and I start going, or if a lot of things start showing up, it's gonna tank. Turn that off because I don't like it. Low? And... where is it? Here it is. Low. There. I'm now in the 60s. And this is at everything else is ultra. Except for the few things I turned off for personal preference. I found this when I decided to pop down to the low preset and see how that was, which low actually looks pretty damn good. I'm completely serious. It looks pretty damn good. The only issue really is like a draw distance stuff, which it isn't even draw distance. It's more that tree, how it's the level of detail distance, which everything else is at ultra. It's just the shadows and the ambient occlusion that I have turned down, and it's still that far away that it happens. So low actually isn't that different. But yeah, I mean, at like, 1080p plus, that's basically what I'm playing at 1152. Low looks actually quite good. And you can just, turn some of the stuff up. I mean, it's like this is at 4x MSAA, which low is, I think, with it off. So you can turn that, and it looks fine, and it plays very well. I collected the data already. Here, let me grab that. So this is... I can leave the data open for the... there we go. For the how I played it. And in this location, A Breakfast in Paris, with Vulkan, the mean frame rate was 51 FPS. Okay? The mean with the... at low, but the stuff turned up, 87.9. That's a huge swing, and the thing is, if I were to do it now, it would probably have an average above 60s, my bet. And it's mainly just from this and from this. Oh, this should also be turned up. But you want to know something else you can do to really improve performance? Go to that. If you're at 1080p, go ahead, go to that. You hit apply. And now this changed from giving you just fidelity effects on and off to the rescaling filter. So how does it filter the points? Because it's being rendered at low resolution. How's it to scale up? How is it supposed to do the interpolation and extrapolation? Those are your options. That's what it does by default. And this is not far from native in appearance. I mean, it's like, it is hard for me to say that, oh yeah, this is worse. No, this still looks pretty good, and the performance is in the 70s at the moment. Everything is on ultra, except as far as performance goes, everything is on ultra except the max rendering, and that, you can set that to probably even unlimited, and it'll probably still just be in the 60s. But ambient occlusion at low, max shadow size at low, runs fine. Absolutely fine. I do wonder if that's something that either a driver update, because I know I'm running out-of-date drivers, if either that or a game patch will really help. Because just going to medium, just doing that, oh, it's still in this, hang on. I thought that when I did that before, it was actually a drop. Maybe I can actually let that be at medium. Oh wait, no. It might have been ambient occlusion when I had that on medium. It killed the performance. No, it's actually still doing well. I'm gonna have to collect more data. Well, no, it's looking this way. It's in the 50s, so it's not great, but definitely the shadows in this game are what kill the performance.
Oh yeah, time for a road trip.
Yeah, so now it's in the 50s, and it's like, I mean, yeah, right now it can be that low, since there's nothing else going on, but, it's like in danger of going down to the 40s, I feel, so, the thing, yeah, it is SSA, or screen space, and that is not as efficient as some other methods available today. But doing that, and now I'm above 60. There is some dropping down, but I'm sure I could tweak other things as well, but it's like, you really can play with what this game offers in the settings to arrive at much superior performance. And it doesn't really look that much worse when you do it. It's like, remember, I'm at ultra except for shadows, basically. And it's like, that's pretty good. Whoops. Coming right to you. Wildlife, we're riding true and true. The AI is so much better at driving this than me. But yeah, for the way I collect the data is I let the in-game benchmark play the game, and then I just have OCAD go in the background for 5 minutes. Now, the reason why I do that, because like, oh, in-game benchmark, how can you possibly do that? How's that valid? It's very simple. The way that it does the in-game benchmark in this and the other Serious Sam games that I've tried, which is mainly just the Serious Sam Fusion 2017 stuff. What it does is it just puts an AI on Sam, and then lets it go through the map, which makes it a lot. It's really nice because it's still variability, and it's so much easier. It's a lot easier than trying to do it manually, because it's not perfectly reproducible. Just like native game, just like if I were playing the game, a manual run through. But at the same time, I don't have to worry about dying, and it skips all cutscenes. It's great. It's so helpful. So I have no issue whatsoever with using that to collect data, because like it gives me what I want, what I need, and I think it's completely acceptable. But I can understand, you know, some games like man, the main one is like Shadow of Tomb Raider coming to mind, and some of the other Tomb Raider games was like, okay, the pass it's making is not one you can actually make in game. So it's like I can understand that being yeah, we don't really want to use that because it's a bit too synthetic. But this, it's like, no, I mean, it's being played synthetically, but it's a completely natural playthrough. Yeah, except for sometimes the AI will decide to just, you know, teleport itself around. But not in a bad way. It's more like that there's a gadget up there. By the way, I do not know what is up with these hitches. It's fine. It sometimes does it, sometimes doesn't, but I've not noticed anything to really cause it. And I actually I already deleted the file though. One benchmark run that did actually have that happen. And I just ran the benchmark again. It was fine. It didn't happen. I have no idea what's causing it. It could be something unrelated to the game. Okay, I think there. Okay. By the way, I'm playing in tourist difficulty with infinite ammo, so that's why I have all the C4 I could possibly want. Yeah, I hate that. Yeah, so that gadget up there, I have no idea how you actually get to it. But the AI would just, you know, like decide to just like stand here, and then you'd see it like turn around a couple times, and then it's up on top. Yeah, so it's gonna be fun whenever I do the performance analysis, because I'm thinking what I will do is not bother with the finding the maximum acceptable for the time being. In part because I don't know if I can see all the differences. It's like the shadows are at low right now, remember? And ambient occlusion is at low. It's like, okay, I can see that there is some issues, like some dotting at the edge, but in normal gameplay, am I seeing that? No. I mean, for one thing, there's vegetation there, but even at, you know, this one, it's not that noticeable. It is there, but it's not that bad. Here, and actually, let me just see, because medium didn't seem that bad, but it is an easy way to get back performance. Here it is. Let's look at medium. Oh, but look at that. See, now the performance is in the teens. By the way, lowest looks like absolute crap. Back in the 60s. Well, 50s and 60s. It's like, that's how impactful the shadows are in this game. And maybe over time they'll be able to patch it and optimize it. Very possible. But it's just, right now, with this pre-release build, and my RX 580 with drivers from April, and I'm using Vulkan, the performance is most heavily impacted by shadows. So if you need to, you know, get some performance back, turn that down, then start turning down the other stuff. There it is. I think that's the last one. Alright, but here, let me also quickly do this. Performance. Low. Customize. Set that to 4x. Get rid of that. That to 16. That we can actually turn up all the way. It didn't matter when I was doing that. That off. There we go. I keep losing track of where some of these settings are. But doing that, that can... Well, no, that won't make too big a difference. But doing that, so it's now closer to low than it is to ultra. Can you tell me that it's different? I mean, yeah, there's going to be some because it's rendering at 900p, but it visually is not that different. Not sure. The performance, I feel, should be a little bit better. There might be something that I could tweak a little bit to help with that. Or it might just be that, you know, this isn't the best place performance-wise. Or that the game doesn't like it. And this, I think, is the case with this game. It certainly is for some games where if you mess around with the performance settings, it doesn't like you. Let's get rid of this guy. And I have no idea how you're supposed to get up there. That before, how the grass reacts to the explosions. Is also true. I just realized with the performance, I have OBS going, and that can also be loading down the system enough to bring down performance. I don't collect performance data when OBS is going, though. Don't worry about that. But it is possible that if I stop that, the performance will go right back up. That also reminds me that one. I mentioned the hitch earlier that happened while collecting data. That was also with DirectX 12, which that's actually one thing that is kind of weird. So when I quoted the numbers earlier, I was quoting them for Vulkan. At the high configuration that I was using when playing, DirectX 12 was the worst of the three APIs. Vulkan, DirectX 11, DirectX 12, it did the worst. Once I went to this more, well, actually this configuration with it basically being low and certain things picked up. It came to be, well, better. It won. Oh no, it did actually win in all. It did beat DirectX 11 all three, but Vulkan is still the best of the three APIs. And I tested it in here, Death from Below, and Anathema Unto God. Sorry, Under God. I need to fix that. Yeah, that's Unto. Crap. Oh well, that's easy for me to fix. But I do have it typed in incorrectly. There, make the first change there. So I just need to rerun some things and that'll be fine. But yeah, I mean, I was genuinely shocked when I went down to low and found that, oh, this actually still looks really good. But here, let me show you lowest. And I'm not messing with GPU memory. That, genuinely, put it on Ultra if your card has 8 gig. I mean, unless you're also running like 1440p or 4K, which it's also, if you're doing that, and you don't have a GPU that already has like 8 gig, what are you doing? I mean, I guess the original, like Serious Sam HD, the first encounter, if you did that, it, you know, you could do that on a 4 gig card, but I mean, I don't know why I would think that, oh, you have 8 gig of RAM, well, I'm only going to put you at low on the memory. It made no sense to me. It's doing the re-engaging thing again. Now remember, this is actually set to be at 720p. It also seems to be set to have no, yeah, see, 720p, to have no shadows, so it's going to look very different. There we go. I mean, this is clearly inferior. But I've got, 100 FPS at the moment, 135. Alright, yeah, I would say, I wouldn't go down to 720. 900 is good. Yeah, I'll leave that off for now. Set that to low. Trust me, it's... There's some weird stuff when you have shadows too low. But doing that, it already is looking a bit better. But it's yeah, lowest is too low. Like, go to low, mess with what you need to, or here. Let me see how it is here. That's fine. Let me pop this up. Get rid of that. Low there. Low there. Then turn this stuff off. I might try messing with some of that stuff like the ambient occlusion. And we did see that with the max shadow size, turning that up killed performance. And that was at medium, wasn't it? Or was that at high? I think that was at medium. But yeah, visually though, it's not at low, and even with 900p being upscaled with the sharpening on there, it is not that bad looking. It really isn't. I was saying repeatedly in the first analysis video, I wish I had known. I would have been playing at low then to have that much better performance. And I just realized I forgot to check to make sure that OBS hooked in. Because sometimes it's weird. Sometimes the hook, it drops the hook. It would have figured it out, I think, in time, but... Oh, that's true. This is actually going to be at native now. Because I'm starting at high. Medium, I think, puts it at 1080, so it has to be upscaled a little bit. Yeah, so we're in the 50s at the moment. Yeah, it's not as good as the hundreds, but it looks so much better than lowest. And 60 right here. I mean, this is thoroughly playable. And there's so much stuff that you can mess with. You can mess with in here. And I'm kind of curious, what is this gonna do? Alright. So it looked like ambient occlusion didn't hurt it too bad there, but let me quickly check one thing. I think I am at a spot that I can see it. Yeah. So right along this edge, that's where you'll see some ambient occlusion, where it'll be a bit dimmer once it's turned on. Yeah, can even do that. Yeah. The performance actually isn't that bad. It's in the 50s at the moment. I'd still say turn down ambient occlusion though. I mean, it's like we've already got the shadows turned down, and I would not turn those up. Unless your GPU is capable of it, don't turn them up. But I mean, yeah, you do have room there. But max shadow size, man, that just kills it. And nothing else really seemed to impact nearly as much. You can turn that up all the way. particle density could probably actually be turned down. Because I did notice it seemed like whenever I had a lot of particles on the screen, the performance tanking when I was playing. But that also could have been interfering with some of the shadow stuff. There. Oh, maybe don't do that. Those changes that I did. Oh, wow. Undo the things. Hang on. I don't remember where the default is for that. I can do that though. Yeah. You know, that also might be something that can be turned down. Yeah, that can go there. Low. Low. None. And those off. But these last three are pure personal preference. Purely that. Do that. Yeah, you know, some of this might actually be it just not being happy with loading stuff in again, but it's... I mean, this looks solid. This looks so solid, and it's not that far from low, which is sad, but... I mean, there are some things I think, yeah, you can tell. You can tell the difference, but it's not that bad. And it is... Like, if you want even more performance, hit 900p. If you want it even sharper, you turn that on. And it's, like, I mean, that sharpness is quite clear. It might be over-sharpened. I'm a little undecided on that, which is why I don't really want to mess with it. You know, I don't really want to have it on. By default, it's off, so I'll leave it off. But, yeah. Alright, so I'm just gonna head on back. But yeah, so this is a much shorter one. Because I'm not having to do so much the analysis now, since I've already gone through it and done that. And also looked at some other levels. Yeah, it's... Shadows kill performance right now is the moral of the story here. And also that the game, even at 900p, at least for a 1080p class screen, 900p still looks pretty good. So you can go to that if you need to. It will be interesting to see, though, because at some point I will do a performance analysis. It will be interesting to see how the variable rate shading, how big an impact that makes. Unfortunately, at the moment, I only have 2 GPUs that support it. The RTX 2060 and RTX 2080. Yeah, I do not know what causes this. Those hard stutters. I'm not going to worry about it, though. It just... I'm just comfortable enough with the idea that it is actually a, something that will be, and can be and will be patched. Because it shouldn't be a driver issue, but I guess it technically could be. Okay. You know, there's one thing I can do. See the Legion system at this setting. I have actually already looked at some of it. Looked at it with the performance, with these settings. Or at least something similar to these settings. And the performance was still quite solid. But yeah, at some point I will look at the variable rate shading. It's just only the 2 GPUs support it. So it's, is that really a high priority to me? And it's also not ideal because the test system is connected to a television, so I am generally not that near to it, so I don't know how much an impact it may have on the visuals, the variable rate shading, and how much I might be able to see it compared to if it were on my monitor, which is like half the distance or third the distance I typically am from the television. Okay, so with this, I am right here. Okay, we're in the 30s, and I want to say when I was looking at some of this, when I was at the low configuration, it looked appreciably better. And actually, there's one thing I want to quickly check. I mean, there are no gadgets here. Yeah. So I cannot figure out how you're supposed to do this without the rage serum.
We need hand support!
Right, so we're in the 30s, but I mean, this in the 30s? You know, achieving all this while only in 30 FPS is not that bad. So that's just gonna like load me right back here. But I just wanted to make that point that, I mean, there's a lot here. I'm pretty sure I can jump up on top of it. Yeah, there we go. But look at all that. And it's like, yeah, it's in the 30s, but look at this! And this is still smooth. This is still smooth. I mean, there's like no stuttering in this. It's just, yeah, the performance is a little lower. But I mean, this is perfectly responsive and all that. I mean, that's really awesome. The Legion system really is impressive. I just wish that they didn't send so many Legions after me. Mainly that happens just a little earlier in this, in that level. Alright, so I'm gonna stop now, and see you next time. But yeah, I mean, it's, like I was saying, shadows are what kill. And you can go down to like the 900p when you're at the 1080 class, when you're at a 1080 class display, and it still looked quite good. If you need to do it for the extra performance, don't feel like you're losing much. Going down to 720, you're losing some. And I can't help you as far as the 1440 resolution or 4K, because I don't have those displays, but I could believe that at 1440 going down to 1080 with the sharpening would still look pretty good. Alright, now I'm actually going to stop. See you next time.